All right, it's 8:30. Call this meeting of Land, Water, Forest Resources to order. We have roll call, please.
Jesse Betcher,
Here.
Ed Peters,
Here.
Jason Weaver, Brian Bissonette,
Here.
Mark Howard.
Yep.
Kevin Shepard.
Okay, we have a quorum. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. And gentlemen, please remove your headgear. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Certification of compliance with open meetings law.
This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Okay, public comments. At this time, members of the public will be given an opportunity to address the committee. You'll be given up to 3 minutes to speak. Comments should be directed to the committee as a whole and not directed towards individual members. Committee members cannot respond. We have one sheet here, Mr. Rainville. Please step up to the podium, state your name, address, and you'll be given 3 minutes.
John Rainville, 1600 Bank Road, Stone Lake, Wisconsin. In chairman's response to having to remove my cap as a former active service member, I'm allowed to wear my cap off. So I speak to the board here, not knowing exactly what your board parameters are. I've been thrown this bucket of problems because of the lack of zoning's actions or inactions. And it's got to do with the wetland that is adjacent to navigable waters. And all the statutes designate that it is adjacent to navigable waters. I've gotten feedback through zoning that it keeps changing. The goalpost keeps moving beyond me. But as I did my research, I would like to just say nowhere in the state statute does it say because of the elevation differences, it cannot be a wetland adjacent to navigable waters. It does not exist, period. It does not say because of a berm, it cannot be a wetland adjacent to navigable waters. It does say that, and there is a hydraulic connection to such designated area. It is by definition a wetland adjacent to navigable waters. The utterance of saying because the elevation factors separate the two bodies of waters is arbitrary and capriciously false and does not exist in the state statute. In fact, the premise of the berm, man-made or natural, with a qualifier of hydrologic connection, in which this wetland adjacent to navigable waters has. And I cite state statute 10301, 10302/5, 10304. An attempt to insulate the zoning department from its failure to follow its own set of proper procedure in developing a proper plan, in developing a certain property, Mr. Kowalski has conflated the wetland adjacent to navigable waters with the property owners whose onus it is to define the property line, to qualify the needs, to establish a developmental parcel potential. And these say the wetland to navigable waters unequivocally has a direct hydraulic connection. The navigable waters meaning it is adjacent to. Those documents do not support accurate analysis. It is incomplete or otherwise misleading. If it is incomplete, complete your study. If it is misleading, you should disregard. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This is the only sheet I have. Is there anybody else for public comments? Not in the room. Anyone online? Online. Okay, so I will now entertain a motion for consideration of approval of minutes from last month. And there's an addendum attached, so the motion should include the addendum, either approving or disapproving. We have a motion by Mr. Hellwig for approval
to include the addendum.
of last month's minutes, including the addendum. We have a second by Mr. Peters. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes. Number 7, events, discussion, possible action.
None this month.
None. Okay. Number 8, land records and county surveyor department report.
Okay, survey crew's been working, did some maintenance on road work that was done over the summer to put corn back in Bass Lake, Meadowbrook, and Edgewater. Starting on a big project in the town of Ojibwa, south of the Chippewa Village. There's almost a whole township there with almost no corners in it. They're same ownership for a lot of years, since the 30s, nobody's done much. So that's a project that we're starting on. And we spent a bunch of time in the town of Draper, over towards the East County line. We finally got now, we're one section corner away from having all our county lines monumented, and that's been years in progress, because if you look at our county, most of the county lines are in some pretty remote areas, and it's just hard work to get stuff done there. So hopefully in December, that's done and that's off our plate to get that taken care of. And we've been working, there's a bunch of DNR timber sales in the town of Draper. We've been looking for evidence of old section corners and stuff in there ahead of timber sales. Some of our mapping is bad there. I believe that some of our mapping is off 500 or 600 feet. What makes a big difference when we start cutting timber sales and stuff along private land. So that's what we've been working on as far as the survey crew. We're printing tax bills right now in the land records office. That is not going well. Hopefully we're on municipality number 9 this morning, out of the 21. Hopefully it all gets done in time next week by statute when it has to be done, but it's going to be pushed. It's just been problems. So we're working on it.
So I mean, I have some follow-up questions on
Sure.
some of those lines being, the mapping being off 500 or 600 feet. Is
Yep.
that just in one area, or are you talking possibly in
Well,
several
yeah.
areas in the county?
Well, there's different areas of the county. That's why we've got this project. And a bunch of it, we're getting, like this year, we're getting $70,000 from the state targeted at surveying, because there wasn't a lot done in the county for probably around 1930 until in the 90s. So there's a lot of areas where we don't have good survey control. We've been working through most of the populated areas in the county. And on the reservation, the BLM did some big projects. We've got a pretty good handle on that. But when you get state forest, county forest, there's scatterings of private land out there. Nobody's really knowing where any of that stuff is. All our mapping was done with DNR map land net, which was just topographic maps scaled out to where things are. People have been using those for boundaries. And when we get out there and start looking at old records and evidence in the woods, stuff just isn't right. So our job is to try and restore those corners where they were originally set, late 1850s, early 1860s. And there's areas where our mapping and some of that is just off several hundred feet.
So this $70,000 that you are getting that, or you applied for that?
Well, we're applying for it. We'll get it this year. So that, yeah, I've been working on that the last couple of weeks. We spend tax dollars, doing surveying too. But we're also, because we're one of the counties that's been behind, we get extra money as a strategic initiative grant from the state that's targeted at getting surveying done. So we spend it on various things, from equipment. This year we bought a vehicle for the survey crew with that money. I'm probably going to contract out about $40,000 worth of surveying to private contractors to try and get caught up on stuff for sure.
Hopefully using some modern GPS technology and
Yep.
not old.
And then that's just the
Topographic
measuring
maps.
tool. You still have to find evidence of where
Yeah.
everybody took title, where those corners were set in the 1800s. So that's what we're trying to get back to.
Okay. Any questions? If not, we'll move on to number 9, Sawyer County Forestry Department Recreational Trails Report. Motorized, nobody, non-motorized. Where's Kathy? She's always here. Oh. So no trail report. Does anybody have anything on trails that they're aware of? I don't know if snowmobile trails are open or,
They're not necessarily open. I did talk to Kathy and she said they're just basically switching in between ATV to snowmobile season now. And I guess the only information she had to present was she switched the trail counters to snowmobile access points. So
okay,
I do know, Chairman, I got one comment on Lacutere is redone and kind of amended their ATV ordinance.
Mm.
So they're meeting with townships that are around Lacutere now about working it through their township and being agreeable on what trails and roads they can use. So there's good progress there.
so with
The town of
every,
Bass Lake, town of Hayward, town of Hunter, we're trying to make sure that all our ordinances match and are compatible with each other.
those are the only 3 townships that the,
So there's others, but those
okay.
are the ones we're meeting with right now.
okay, that's positive. Thank you.
Yeah.
County Forestry Report.
yeah, so for the month of November, we had a pretty busy month again. As I mentioned last month, we had 20 active sales for the month, which is it's kind of unusual for this time of year, but we needed the sale revenue activity coming in. This activity is appearing to stay constant now as we move into the winter logging season. So it's looking pretty good right now. Sale value sold and uncut on file is just over 5 million. Revenue for the month was a little over 230,000. So our year to date, we're just shy of 1.5 million, and looking at the activity and the sales we've got going right now, I think we're gonna hit our revenue target for the year. It's gonna be really close, but I think we're gonna hit with the activity we've got going on right now. So
And that's 1.85 million?
Yeah.
So you think in December, you're gonna get another, I mean, that's 3.5,
it's gonna be
350,000.
close. It's gonna be close. We got a couple of high dollar sales that just completed for the month. We've got a couple other ones that are started, so it's gonna be nip and tuck, but it's gonna be real close.
Okay, and if we're not, I mean, how bad is that as far as your projected, budget planning? Is that,
I mean, as long as it's close, we have the reserve money to cover the overall budget. I mean, it doesn't make anything more difficult because really because I don't want to underplay it, but the most important thing is that their total book of sale that we have on file is staying the same.
Yeah.
That makes any sense.
yeah, it does, yeah.
I mean, that's the catch. It's like, it's not like we're out. It's just a matter of when it comes. in.
Correct.
So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's good. We know it was a slow start, so. Anything else on that?
On that end, no.
Greg, is wood up now then? Certain woods or what is?
Not particularly. Our last bid opening, we had reductions in our average prices on our major species. And I think the diesel issue and everything is kind of catching it, but we've had a lot of activity. Guys are trying to get these sales done before contracts are expired. So, I mean, they're cutting some high dollar stuff from previous sale offerings. So, I mean, prices aren't terrible, but it's down from, at this point, we're just happy that we're still selling wood and we're still really high activity.
And these guys that go in and cut the wood, are they also obligated to kind of make roads and trails into the forest for hunters and other people to access? Is that correct?
Well, I mean, they've got to make an access road, most of them haven't had much new road development for a long time, but, they do open up the old logging roads. They have to leave them at a better standard, better or the same. Usually it's always better when they come out of there. So, but yeah, they open up, they do provide a lot of access for the public.
I noticed that.
So I guess going on, sale inspections were on target. Track establishment, we didn't have anything turned in, with the sale administration going on in deer season. It was kind of a little bit of a short month for that. Our recon goals were over goal for the year. Had a little over 9,000 acres. We're still working on the Federal Forest Good Neighbor Authority. We had a few hours put in. We're still working on our for year 22 contract. We should be wrapping up that one at the end of the year and working on a reimbursement for that. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report. But we did complete the Scobia Trail Rehab project from Bolton Road to Highway 40 last month as well. That's about all I have.
All right, any questions for Greg? If not, we'll move on to the DNR forestry report.
He reported no December report would be available.
It says right there, sorry.
Yeah,
No December report.
Nothing to report, just a reminder, December 10th is deadline to get spring turkey applications and bear applications in, so just don't forget, we're getting close to that.
You're the DNR guy?
I know, I missed it
Yeah,
one
oh,
year.
sorry. You need to introduce yourself.
I'm sorry, Pat Zimmer, Hayward Forestry Team Leader, filling in for Roy Zubrod today, representing DNR.
Okay, great, thanks. Number 10, zoning conservation department.
So the tree sale is up and running now on the county website. We've already sold out of some items and other items are getting down there, so that sale is moving on pretty well. The poster and speaking contest is been distributed out to the schools. This year's theme is One Water. I don't know if we have much participation so far that have been reported to us, but there's gonna be a number of posters coming in for judging your month. And next month, I guess. Price down, late spring, early summer. The town reported to us that one of the gates was operating, the motor was kicking in, but nothing was happening. So we looked into it and had a company come and take it in. There was the clutching gear mechanism was broken. However, it being an older unit and the company that put it in no longer exists. The company that bought that company no longer exists. So trying to find parts has been an issue. We recently found out that they did find a company in Georgia that is capable of doing the work. And right now we are working back and forth with them on what it's going to cost to fix it. Original bid has now had some additional numbers added to it. But like I said, we're trying to massage in what really needs to be fixed and what doesn't there, so we don't have a true number on that yet. But it's going to cost a few dollars to fix that. Let's see what we're gonna hear. We have met with the DNR and other Whitefish Lake, Cola, the tribe, and a few others regarding the water levels on the Coudray. The Whitefish Lake Association has filed with the DNR to increase the water level on there. Originally, the gauge was supposed to be at a George Hess Resort.
The deer is negative contact out of the Humane Society.
And then at some point, it was moved to the Thoroughfare Bridge. When the Thoroughfare Bridge was replaced 20 years ago or whatever, that gauge was lost. And at the time, we thought the benchmark was also lost. So we used the gauge at the dam for 20 plus years to monitor the water level, which set the level at higher on the lake, probably higher than it was normally set at. A couple of years ago, we were able to find that benchmark and reset the gauge on Thoroughfare, which resulted in the lake level on the Coudray being lower. With that and the drought and stuff, some people who have been used to it at a higher level would like to see it return to that level. So we are now in discussions with the DNR on if that level can be moved, should be moved, whether we have easements in place to allow us to run it at a different level. So those talks and discussions are currently on. So. And then zoning still been busy with their zoning.
Okay,
Same side.
any questions for Tim? Yeah.
Chairman, do you think, was Brian Bissonette on?
Yeah.
Could he comment for Lakuta Ray as far as water levels and wild rice beds that the tribe is really dependent on?
Did you hear that, Brian?
Yeah, so Tweed, I've delegated this issue to Dan Tyrol. And I don't necessarily know that we share the same opinion as Cola in this respect. Again, it's, you know, from Dan's perspective, and again, it's just a perspective at this point, is that moving the gauge to the opposite side of the bridge would make it compliant with the order from, I can't remember what year this order was passed. So I know Dan has been in discussions with them and we'll stay engaged in this. But yes, obviously the concern that we would have is in regards to Billy Boy flowage, because we do have a wild rice seeding project in that area. So that's about all I have on that.
And this spring, I met with Dan and Melissa Lewis, the wild rice specialist. Yeah. And she kept me in contact with what the stages of the rice are at, and we plan on doing that again this spring so that we make sure that that's part of the operation as well.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to USDA report, Kevin?
December 5th was the last day to return ballots to the USDA Center. Sawyer County has a full board setting already. There's one guy running in Lady Smith, so next Wednesday we'll be counting the ballots down there. Then December 5th again was the last day to apply crop insurance premium rebates. I guess there's going to be a little kickback for cover crops this year. December 9th is the last day to sign up for dairy margin coverage. December 12th is the last day to apply in Chippewa County for a technical position in the county office. So anyone looking for a job, they're looking for people still. December 16th is the deadline for emergency relief program, phase 1. Then phase 2 will start the following day. Then December 26th, the USDA service will be closed for observance of Christmas. And then December 31st, a non-insured crop disaster assistance program will be closing for honeybees and maple sap. That's about all we have.
All right. Any questions for Kevin?
Yeah, I do, Chairman, sorry. Kevin, what is the crop, how did the crop come in this year, like for soybeans and corn and hay? Was it up? Was it a drought? Was it?
It depending upon where you are and what type of soil you had. If you're on the light grounds, the crops come in a little less, but if you're on the heavier grounds, they came in actually better than normal.
And the prices?
The prices are up right now. So,
All right, we'll go to LCO report. Brian?
As Tweed indicated earlier, the Tribal Governing Board is intending to meet with the various townships on the ATV ordinances. And I know Terry Miller, who is the chairman secretary, is setting up a meeting with Kathy because Kathy LaRue from the Alliance also had some concerns and some possible she had some possible options for the Tribal Governing Board to consider. So that's probably the main thing of public interest out here at Lakuta right now. So other than that, we're just trying to stay warm like everybody else.
Okay. Hey, Ed, do you want to mention?
Yeah, Brian, I just saw something came across from DNR about site-specific phosphorus criteria for the Lakuta.
Yep.
Is there something that this committee or the tribe is doing or responding? How is responding to that?
At this point, well, I tell you what, I'm not prepared to report on that right now. But what I can do is I can consult with my environmental engineer on this as well. And then I'll report next month.
Okay, yeah, I just saw this come across, this week, so.
Yeah.
It's currently open for public comment. on
Yes,
this.
yes.
Okay, so we'll maybe get some more info on that next month.
Yep.
Future agenda items. Does anybody have anything for? No? Number 12, correspondence reports from conferences and meetings. Hey, Pat, I got a question about, it's Pat, right?
Yeah.
Pat Zimmerman.
Zimmerman.
About the wetlands adjacent to navigable waterways, do you have any clarification? Because I know it has to do with the hydrology. So to me, if there's a berm or some sort of topography in between, then there can't be that hydrology connection. So wouldn't that, I don't
I'll
know.
be honest, it's a little bit out of my wheelhouse within forestry, but it's something, I mean, if you guys had something specific that you wanted me to look up or find out about, I could certainly do that.
There can be a groundwater hydrology connection. However, one of the big things there is the navigation aspect of it, whether it's a navigable wetland or not. And if there's a physical berm elevation across, you can't navigate from the open water through it. So that's where the navigation connection.
Right. So the question is wetlands adjacent to navigable waterways. So what you're saying is there needs to be some way to be navigable
Yeah,
into the
remember
wetlands?
the distances and stuff change if it's a navigable, considered a navigable wetland or a wetland. In order to be navigable, it needs to be connected to a navigable water.
Right.
So that, during the spring when the wetlands flooding and stuff, you could take a canoe from the body water through the wetland and navigate it.
Yeah.
However, if there's a physical berm or something that disconnects the two, it's not navigable, it's just a wetland.
Right. But is it a wetland that's adjacent to navigable waterways?
It can still hydraulically be adjacent to it, however, the navigation aspect is.
Okay. It just affects some zoning requirements on,
Right.
and I personally, I don't like the word adjacent because that means something different to every person. You know, if I say a building that's adjacent to this courthouse, if you look up the definition of adjacent, it means next to, beside, across from. It has all these different.
There's a distance thing.
Right. The only person who knows what adjacent means is the person who's saying it, not everybody else. So Ed, you got a comment on that?
Well, yeah, I guess, is there a difference between whether or not that berm was a natural feature or whether it has been
That
engineered?
I can.
Because otherwise you could just take it with a bulldozer and put in a berm and then
Well, there's probably some other.
yeah, there's some other things that would happen there.
Yeah.
That may have happened, that happened in the past. Is that part of the argument then? So.
Most
of the time you're talking ice rivers. Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. If there's,
Chairman, one last thing.
yes.
I know I'm backing up the future agenda items, but could we get the DNR to give us another report on the CWD in Sawyer County and the baiting of deer in Sawyer County? I know we're all post deer hunt right now, and there's concern both ways on that, the baiting aspect. Could they report to us sometime about what are their thoughts? Because the majority of counties within the state don't allow baiting. Is that something?
They don't allow it because they've had cases
Right.
either in their county or adjacent to the next county. So if we haven't had any CW cases in this county or the counties that touch our county, then that's the current
Well,
law.
we don't want it, so whatever we can do for that, it would be nice too. Just my thoughts.
Maybe we can have them give a quick update on if there's been any, because
Okay.
I know there's been a push, like I've gotten several emails about CWD testing more than normal. So I don't know if there's an increased push this year. So maybe if we could get update on.
Yeah, and I
some
could check in
CWD.
with Josh Spiegel, our wildlife biologist. I did check in with him prior to the meeting, and there was nothing really to report yet from the past hunting season, but a lot of that information, he said, does come out in the paper and it's made available to the public on the website. But if there's more specific information you want for Sawyer County, that's something I can definitely check in with Josh and try to have that for next month.
It sounds like, Mr. Schuman wants to increase the amount of corn from 2 gallons, 2 gallons to 4 gallons per day.
Kevin's gonna take some heat.
All right, if anything else? If not, we are adjourned.